Hi, I'm Roberto Martinez and you're watching Toffee TV.
Welcome back to Toffee TV. It is me, Ped and Baz. We are in the Winslow Hotel. Glorious settings of the Winslow Hotel. We only say that because Dave's sitting over there and he owns the pub. And we get very angry even though he doesn't give us any money or anything, Baz. I mean, we need to start sorting that out.
Makes a nice coffee.
He does make a nice coffee, but a studio will be a little bit more helpful.
Well, but he just moans, doesn't he?
He does moan, he's just moaning over there, off camera and off mic, thankfully. Right, we've got quite a few bits to talk about on and off the pitch this week. Obviously Chelsea last Wednesday. Hard to take this game, just really hard to take. For so many reasons and the fallout of it for so many reasons. Let's talk about the game and obviously the decisions that were made before the game. Tim Howard coming back into the side. We were here last week with the lads from Everton USA. Obviously they are very pro Tim Howard. That's fair enough, we understand that. No reason why not. And the lads wanted him back. They give the reasons and they were good reasons. Maybe not my reasons, but they were good reasons. Tim Howard was back in the team. Do you think that was justified?
No. In a word, listened to the lads last week, made very good points about why they thought he should come back in, but for me just sends out totally the wrong message to everybody, not just Joel in goal. Sounds good, that doesn't it? Joel in goal.
If only that was the way it was.
Well, exactly, yeah. But I mean, he just had 3 clean sheets, hadn't he? And Dunk steadily got better and better. I think there's a couple of things with changing a side that is doing okay. Don't upset it for no reason. We haven't been able to get any kind of consistency this season. So to start changing it when you don't need to is a strange one. And the second point is, if you're a player who's on the periphery of the squad, especially for a goalkeeper, you have to wait ages to get a goal. You get in and do the business. You should stay in. It's the only way to create a competitive team.
Well, I did mention last week, it is noted amongst footballers, managers and goalkeepers alike that there is a hierarchy on goalkeeping terms, and that's the way goalkeepers like it. And we heard Roberto Martinez say in the week, well, Tim Howard's my number one and nothing's changed, so therefore he comes back into the team. So from that point of view, I wasn't surprised, because if he's saying this is number one and he's coming back in, where does that leave Joel, do you think?
I don't think it puts him in any different light. I think what he's done is he's proved that he can be relied on. He's proved he's a good goalkeeper. Fans have the most important thing in this period is the fans trust him now, whereas it was quite unfair, I felt, the criticism since he's come to the club, that nobody kind of trusted him. He was held up in the Stephen Wessels kind of or the Jan Mucker, but I think the fans trust him now. He still has to improve, still a couple of things he's got to get better at, so that's good from that perspective. But it's all very well having a hierarchy in goalkeepers and he's your number one, but I think if Joel would have been uncertain, I think it would have been the correct move to put Howard back in if he'd have been hit and miss. But he's just been getting better and better, and I just don't think it would have done Tim Howard any harm to sit on the bench for 2 or 3 games and go, I do have to work hard here to get back into this side. And I think that goes with every player. There's been a few times this season where Roberto's brought players back just because they're fit, and I don't necessarily think they've been put in at the correct time. Leighton Baines was one, when Luke Garbutt had a couple of appearances. Remember him playing absolutely fabulous at Wolfsburg, who were a good side, by the way. Yeah. And we went to Spurs on the Sunday and Baines just straight back in the side, not fully fit, and you just think, not giving the right message.
On the flip side of that though, James McCarthy was left out, put back on the bench. Now you can understand that move, because obviously he's been out for so long. He plays in a very intense, well, not a very intense, but he plays in the Merseyside derby, so physically it's intense. It wasn't aggressively intense. He played in that game, got through it, but you can understand why he was put into this bench. But as you say, there's been occasions this season where he hasn't done that. Do you think though, with this game, you thought the opportunity was there, because obviously Besic is playing well, Barry's playing well, and Ross Barkley had a decent little cameo in the derby. Maybe you thought, well, time Ross can come back in the team, maybe I can leave James back out to make sure that he's fully recovered.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing with McCarthy is he's so important to us, isn't he? And we haven't probably managed them correctly this season in terms of his hamstring. You know, he played on a few games, you know, resulting in the Wolfsburg, you know, debacle, if you want to call it that. So yeah, the opportunity's there to leave him on. You know, Besic has done ever so well since getting into the side. I think Gareth Barry's improved. I think he had a period when he was rushed back with injury and he was stinking the place out, really, to put it mildly. And it was a chance to get Ross back in the side and see if he can, you know, build up a little bit of form and momentum. So you could kind of understand that change.
And Aaron Lennon obviously starting the game as well.
You understand why I put him in, because it's pace, isn't it? And, you know, the chances were Chelsea were going to dominate the ball. They're at home, you know, they've got such a good record, and it was going to be a game where it was a conscious decision that we'd try and play them on the break, and on the break you need quick players.
The game itself, I thought, obviously it went the way we all expected it to go in terms of possession, but I thought Everton played quite well, and I thought there was opportunities there. I mean, Lukaku had a decent chance in the first half when, again, Lennon broke quite quickly. We moved the ball well in the final third, and it opened a little space for Lukaku to get a shot off, and Cech made a good save. And of course, Chelsea were always going to have a lot of chances, but I didn't think Tim Howell actually had that many things to do. Okay, there was a header that he saved well, but again, you look at it and think, well, he made that save look quite spectacular, a lot more than it needed to be. Going in at half time, I was quite satisfied. Of course, there was a few silly little fouls and yellow cards that happened, and I wasn't surprised that Besic was taken off, obviously, with the way the game was going. But it seemed we were coping well, and the back four looked quite steady.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of negativity after the game, I felt, from some Evertonians who were kind of disappointed with the way we'd approached the game. But I thought we approached it in the right manner. We're playing a side that will probably win the Premier League this season. Very strong. I think they lost 1 in 90 or something at Stamford Bridge, or something ridiculous under Mourinho. And we're not playing well. You know, it's not as if we're full of confidence. You know, we've been improving, but we've been improving by basically keeping it tight at the back. So it didn't surprise me. We'd try and play them on the counter, and I thought we'd done that in a reasonably measured performance. And you know, if Lukaku sticks that chance away with 20 minutes left, you know, we might have hung on and won the game. You never know.
Well, I was going to move on to that chance. I mean, which way do you look at it? Because I mean, obviously we'll talk about Lukaku in a little bit more in a moment, but just on that chance, I mean, you know, what were your thoughts on it? Because a lot of people will say, well, he should be scoring from there, or, you know, whichever way you look at it. When you look at the replays, it was actually a fantastic save in the end.
It's real tough on this, because 4 yards out with no one there, he should be burying it. But I think he done everything right. He got across his man. It was a great ball in by Oviedo. He got a good contact on it. And I think Petr Cech just sticks a leg out and gets massively lucky. It's a good save, but even from the rebound, it hits his foot and goes. If it hits his foot and comes back, Lukaku can put it in. It hits his foot and goes the other way.
Well, we'll talk about that a little bit more in a moment, but obviously we'll come into the last couple of minutes. Gareth Barry gets himself sent off, which is interesting. Did he get himself sent off knowing that he would have a suspension anyway, because obviously the cumulative effect of the yellow cards, and then obviously after that, the aftermath of that was the Ivanovic bite, headbutt, I don't know,
strangulation,
whichever way strangulation, whichever way you want to look at it. He stays on the pitch. He doesn't even get a yellow card. The ref doesn't even somehow see it, even though he was staring right at it. There's a free kick. He heads down the free kick, and somehow a shot ends up in the back of the net. I still don't know how it went in, but it ends up in the back of the net. And you think, well, first of all, should Ivanovic been on the pitch to have that header?
By the letter of the law, no. Seen a game at the weekend, West Brom, with the scoreline at 3-0, and Alma Fatano, I think you say his name, Alma Fatano, comes on as a sub and kicks out at Chris Brunt. Referee books him, because it was a book, and he just pushes Brunt away, hand in the face, and the referee issues a straight red. Now, Ivanovic is... The people are saying about the bite. It wasn't a bite for me. He gestured towards it. Headbutt. He had his head in his face in an aggressive manner. That's a red card. But the arm around his throat to the point where McCarthy's face is combed right dead. As a referee's looking at you, that's aggressive play, and aggressive play carries a red card. So I don't know how he deemed Gareth Barry putting a normal challenging, I would say. I don't think Gareth Barry
it was a little bit sneaky.
He just went in, didn't he? It was a bit, for me, it was a nonsense because he didn't have to go in for it. It was already being dealt with, wasn't it? It was a block tackle on the halfway line. But yeah, he probably should have issued him with the red card, but the way the referee refereed the game, no one was surprised.
Well, McCarthy got a yellow card as well for having been strangled, so that's quite interesting. As we mentioned, they end up scoring from the ball that goes out. Now, people are telling me that Tim Howard had a good game. I just didn't see it, and for me, I felt he should have done a lot better with the goal. Now, a lot of people out there will say, well, how is he supposed to see through two people? And other people said Naismith deflected. Now, I didn't see a deflection from Naismith. I didn't see it. I seen movements from the ball. I didn't see a deflection, but what I did see, right? What I did see was a gap 2 yards to the left of Tim Howard's hand, and Tim Howard not responding and not moving towards that gap. And this brings me back to the Petr Cech thing. Petr Cech said after the game, when he spoke about the save, what he said was, I guess that's where he was going to put it, so therefore I reacted. So he's used all of his experience and thought, well, where's this striker going to put this? And basically he's reacted using it before he's took the shot, basically. And that's why I was disappointed with Tim Howard, because he didn't even move. And that's what he surely can see that there was going to be a strike by the forward. He could see that it was going to be shot. Now the fact that, okay, it might have been deflected. I didn't see a deflection. What I seen was movement on the ball. And yes, he might have had his view blocked by two players, but I still don't understand how that stops you from making a movement towards where you think it's going to go. Because when the ball went in, he was standing there as in to say, well, what was I supposed to do? And it was just, when Petr Cech made the comments, I thought, well, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to use your experience to have a guess at where you think it's going to go. And if it hasn't gone there, well then fair enough, but to almost just not react to it, or be limited to your body, because of your age, whatever, to your injury, that you can't respond, I was a little bit disappointed. Now, people out there will probably think I'm being harsh on him, and maybe I'm seeing more than is actually there, but Petr Cech just said he used his experience to think where the ball was going, and I'm just a little bit disappointed. And I didn't think Tim Howard had a good game. In fact, the punch that led to the goal, I thought he could have done a lot better with. I thought he could have maybe come for that ball and took it, or not come for it at all, because as soon as he makes that punch as well, he's lost. For me, he's lost in his own area. Maybe I'm being too harsh. I mean, put some comments in, put something in the comments and tell me if you think I'm being harsh. But I just don't understand why he was in the team in the first place. And
well, that's just, I mean, whether he's in the team or not, a separate issue, isn't it? I think the particular, in terms of did he have a good game, he didn't really. If you think about it, he didn't really have that much to do. Yeah. So he was steady. He wasn't awful. He wasn't good. He was just steady. Where the goal is, the punch is terrible. Let's be honest. But we criticise him for not coming for things. So it's difficult to then say, well, hang on, he actually come and tried to do something, and we criticise him. The punch wasn't very good. For me, it does take a deflection. I hate it when players like Naismith put out a lazy leg like he did. He just stuck a leg out. He knew he wasn't going to. The only thing,
no one closed him down.
Well, that's the first thing. Oviedo should have closed the leg down. But when you're Naismith, it's a lazy action, that, because you're stretching a leg. You're better off letting it run past you, because you keep it and people are behind you. If you watch Howard, he sets to follow the train of the ball, and the ball comes and it does veer. Now, all I'll say is, using the Cech argument, A, Cech's 25 times a better goalkeeper than Tim Howard, but B, he doesn't react, you're right, and he should be, any eventuality. Now, goalkeepers, when I was playing and when I was at Everton as a younger lad, and they spent hours on the training ground, laying on the back with someone whacking ball, and it up, down, and it's reaction, trying to anticipate, and it was up, sit up, press, sit up. He should be able to move 2 foot either way, regardless. And goalkeepers have to have them reactions. I seen a save yesterday from Shea Given, which was outrageous, but it was, and I thought to myself, I'm not sure how would make that kind of save, and it's just those little instant.
Well, I'll tell you what I seen last week as well. I think it was Sporting Kansas City in America. I seen a video of them. I followed them on Twitter. They are my MLS team, by the way. And
Orlando City.
All their goalkeepers were training with this new ball. Now it's not really a ball; it's like a rugby ball, but instead of having 2 points, it's got 3 points. Right?
So it can go
when the goalkeeping training, they have one goalkeeper and he kicks the ball and he'll kick it on the ground and you don't know where it's going. You don't know where it's going, and as you just talk about there, it's all about reactions. Sometimes the best saves are when a goalkeeper's going one way and it takes a deflection and he has to respond and go the other way. And I think that's why it's almost like with these new footballs now, the movements in them, they're so light that we've seen them when it doesn't get a deflection. The ball's like that in the air. Yeah. You wobble. You've got this like this Ronaldo technique, this knuckle puck thing. You know, anyone Mighty Ducks will know the reference. It moves in the air, so that makes it hard. And that's I think why we're getting goalkeepers now. We're younger and like more agile. We're not necessarily in the area of goalkeepers who have to be 6'5". We've got goalkeepers now who are like De Gea, who are maybe 6'1", 6'2".
Slighter.
Don't look huge and a lot more athletic because they need to be, because the balls are all over the place. And you see goalkeepers now who are going one way and the next minute they're having to move so quickly. And I think the adage that goalkeepers get better when they're in the late 30s, I think that's a myth now. I think that's actually gone now. I think when we were younger that was a big thing, because
I don't know, Nigel Martin was brilliant.
That was like 10 years ago.
Oh, I know.
That's what I'm saying.
But what Nigel Martin would do is he was very reactive. He'd anticipate. I remember a derby across the park and he made outrageous saves.
You just used the word anticipation. Knowing where a ball's going to be. That was the biggest crime for me with that goal, was that the ball was going 2 yards to the left and Tim Howard could have just laid down on the floor and he would have saved it, because there was that little room between him and the post. That
he got a hand to it, didn't he? But I'm sure he gets something on it and it doesn't, whatever it is, it just hits him.
I was just very, very disappointed by that.
Well, I seen a save in, I think it was Newcastle Stoke on Sunday by Begovic, and he basically, a cross came in and Cabella heads it and he's going for the cross and all he does is just throw his shoulder up and knocks it over the bar. We might be being very, very critical. But I seen some people saying he was man of the match and he made magnificent saves. Well, I didn't see it. I must have seen football slightly different from other people. There's normal saves, everyday saves. Do you know that the most overused word in football is? Good shot stopper.
He's a good shot stopper. He's a Premier League goalie. Of course he should be. He should be.
I don't think he was great and I don't think he was terrible. He didn't have that much to do. So anyone who says he was man of the match, I can't see it, because the only real save of note I can remember, the Hazard one he should have caught, it didn't even go fast, he just done some mad punch on it, was the one that was right down his throat and he stopped it with his legs and got lucky by just being able to recover in time with his foot. But you know, he didn't make mistakes either. I just think the punch wasn't very good and his reactions weren't great. So it's a tough one. Would Joel have saved it? Who knows? We don't know. But look, he's in goal now. He's got the jersey, so we have to get on with it. It's disappointing, but we've got to get on with it.
So obviously 1-0 defeat, which was so hard to take 2 years in a row. 2 years in a row we've been beaten.
I don't know about you, but when the ball hit the net, I wasn't surprised. I just thought we went further. A point, I don't know whether you were going to bring it up, the substitutions, I brought it up on the night, was that the Darren Gibson substitution for me just, it blew me mind because it was such a pointless for me.
But it was like Alcaraz in the derby, wasn't it?
It was just pointless. Whatever needed at that, we were getting further and further back and they were getting more of the ball, and we'd almost, after the Lukaku chance came and went, we almost went, well, that's all we've got. We're not going to come forward again. He was just getting, like he does, isolated. And for me, what would have been a better substitution, and what I was screaming for, was Aruna Koné to come on and even throw Lukaku wide and just say to Azpilicueta, right, I'm marking you now, or even on this side with Ivanovic, whatever, and have Kone so that when we had the outball and knocked it up to him, he could get hold of it and buy us 2 or 3. Ron doesn't do it.
Because, and I'd say another reason why this was important as well, is because we had a lot of players on yellow cards in various positions. We had players all over the pitch. I mean, Coleman got caught, he got only his second yellow card. You know, we were getting caught all over the pitch and you could tell players...
Let's have it right, the Bezic one was outrageous. Hazard, it was outrageous. He didn't even touch him. He just threw himself. If that's a booking, we may as well pack up and go home.
This was it, isn't it? You know, we've got loads of yellow cards. You're getting players now throwing themselves all over the place. We couldn't do any more than we've done. And you're right. And I said this in the Merseyside derby. I want to start seeing Kone coming on. You know. He's brilliant at holding the ball. No matter what anyone thinks of him, he's really good at holding the ball. And when you're under pressure and you're in the last 20 minutes of games, why not? Lukaku, you can push wide and tell him to do a job wide. He'll work back for you. You know, I don't understand.
I've got a thing now where I've been looking at us and I've been waiting for Roberto to dramatically change, and it's quite clear he's not going to do that. But for me now, I think, and I know we're going to discuss Rom in a minute, but he can't play in a one. I said this, you'll remember me saying this last year on radio shows and stuff, that he doesn't protect the ball. He doesn't. He's still not doing it 12 months later. The best game I've seen him do it was Leicester, the first game season, when he couldn't run. So we had to keep hold of it and lay it off. He doesn't do it well enough for me. And I think the only way we're ever going to see a £28 million striker materialise from Lukaku is if he plays in the 2. He wants to be going the other way. He doesn't want to bring stuff down. And he wants to be me bringing it down, not me, or Bobby if you want, I will, bringing it down, laying it into him and letting him travel with the ball. And
it doesn't have to be a conventional 2, it doesn't have to be 2 up front. No, it can be him and Brock Barkley, it can be him and Morales.
But he's got to have someone, for me, and you might disagree, but for me, he's got to have someone who's going to take it. Barkley won't take it. Barkley wants to run onto it. I think now, if it was me now with this Everton side, I'd be looking and thinking, like, we've got Leicester coming up at home. We need to win that. A draw or a defeat is unthinkable now, because we need to put distance between us and the rest. And I'd be playing 4-4-2. I know the hipsters, and you have a couple of hipsters on your show who might be, you know, trying to tell you it's a 4-1-9-3, 4.2, but anyone who actually knows the game and watches the game and doesn't listen to pundits, 4-4-2, stick Kone up there. You can even ask Ron to go and drop in wide right if he needs to do it. But let's see 2 forwards. Let's see 2 mobile central midfield players, and let's give Aaron Lennon half a chance to run at people. And on the other side, you can have either someone like Barkley who will come in and drift back out, or Morales with Baines, or, you know, even Garbutt and Baines.
Well, especially with someone like Leicester coming on, you know, you've got no Barry, so you've got to have McCarthy and Besic. You can have 2 in centre midfield who can be.
Are we convinced it'll be McCarthy and Besic?
No, but what I'm saying is, if you have Besic and McCarthy, you've got an old-fashioned centre there who are just going to play and give it to the other people, and that allows 2 out-and-out strikers. But that's getting way ahead of ourselves, right? Okay, since the game of Ivanovic, no punishments. Don't really want to talk too much about it, but it's ridiculous.
We've been fine. We've been charged with not controlling our play.
And Ivanovic isn't getting done.
Anyway,
madness. We can't.
Well, you know what, mate? Even if they would have looked back and gone 3-match ban, it didn't help us.
It wouldn't have done anything for us.
He needed to be punished there and then. Once that went, I don't care what he does.
It doesn't really matter, does it? Romelu Lukaku. Let's move on to Romelu Lukaku. Obviously, he splits fans, and the reason he splits fans is because of his price tag. You know, we were there. We were outside. I'm about to say Belfield.
Finch Farm.
We were outside Finch Farm in the summer when we signed, and we were very, very excited. The video's there. Go and watch it. Baz was doing cartwheel and everything. We were very, very excited at the prospect of signing him. We both said 28 million is a scandalous amount of money. But what we both said was, we understand why we're paying the extra. We're paying the extra because Chelsea were dictating. We needed a big signing. We had the money in the bank. Martinez wanted him, he wanted to come, it was going to make a big statement, and we all thought, we'll sell him for 35 in 4 years or 3 years,
40,
whatever.
I was looking at. But
there you go, right? So we all knew the price tag was too much, everyone knew that. But now it's coming back to bite him. Now everyone's saying, 28 million spent on this fella. You know, he's this, he's that, he's the other. He can't hold the ball up, he can't do this, he can't do the other. Listen, we know what he can do. Give him an opportunity, he hits the target more times than not. But obviously after this game, he has a fantastic opportunity to score, maybe get us a result in the game. Now, comments came out 24 hours after that. Hey, Belgian journalist had approached him in the mix zone after the game and said, you know, what did you feel about coming back to Chelsea? And his reaction was great. You know, I was treated well. No one booed me. He said, I love Mourinho. He said he's probably the best manager I've ever worked for. He's done more than my career than anyone else. No problem. He's then asked, would you come back to Chelsea? And his reaction was, or his answer was, there's other big clubs than Chelsea out there. So basically what he's saying was, I don't really want to come back to Chelsea. I've done that, I've been here. He said, there's other clubs, and one day I hope to work back up the ladder to get to go to one of those big clubs. Really, that's essentially what he said. Now, obviously, he's talking to someone in his own language. He's talking to someone he probably knew. That's probably why he stopped. He's probably a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more friendly. You know, you get this all the time. We know we get
with Belgians,
and Dutch as well. You get this. They're a lot more honest than what we'd like, and obviously, so it went out in a publication. I don't think it was a big story over there. It just went out in a publication. Then a national newspaper over here picked up on it. So therefore that. So it goes from him talking about one day maybe wanting to play back on the highest level, which Everton aren't, which is another debate, but
for another day,
we'll see.
And how we get there.
The point is, though, it sparks this reaction amongst Everton fans. He's rubbish, he's playing rubbish, he can't score from 5 yards, how dare he say he wants to. And then the next day you get stupid things saying, oh, Wolfsburg and Spurs are after Rom, he wants to go, he wants to go in the summer, him and Morales want to go. Then you've got people going, oh, 28 million, let him go, he's rubbish and all this, and you're just thinking, God, this spiraled out of control very, very quickly.
Isn't this the normal picture of Will Ferrell saying that escalated quickly?
So, I mean, first of all, I mean, on the comments, I mean, your thoughts on the comments?
Well, after the event, I thought he owed the Evertonians an apology, to be honest with you. Just because 3,000 plus had gone to Stamford Bridge on Wednesday. It's not the greatest season we're having. And you don't want it there. A player who you've just broke your transfer record for 6 months down the line saying, well, you know what, I'm going to play for a big club. Yeah. Since then, obviously, I've seen the full kind of transcript, and if you're looking at it objectively, you know, without your wounded head on, like I probably was on Wednesday night, Thursday, he's probably not really said anything wrong. Whether it's a comment he needs to make, whether he regrets saying it, I don't know, but I suppose I understand A, where he's coming from, and I understand the fans being very annoyed with him.
On one point you say, I mean, footballers, please just don't talk. Don't write autobiographies. Don't do anything that's going to upset the people who pay your wages. Just don't do it. I just don't understand why. But as I mentioned, he's very relaxed. He's talking to someone he knows, and you find the Dutch.
Be too honest, that's the problem.
You can, and
we've had this with Fellaini, didn't we?
We've had this with Heitinger, and we've had this before. Listen, I am under no illusion that these people feel like they owe us anything, but at the same time, don't annoy the people who, I'm not going to say who pay your wages, but don't annoy people, because it can never work out well, and sometimes it can often lead to the door opening. You know, it's not a good thing to do, but at the same time, what I would say is, listen, he's ambitious. He wants to win something. He wants to play in the Champions League regular, and we'd all love it to be at Everton, but at times, if a club can't match the potential of a player, then you can understand why they'd want to leave.
I think if you're into that position where you're talking to someone about that, you should always throw a disclaimer in, always, and that disclaimer should be, hopefully I can achieve this with Everton, but if not, then maybe we'll look at that, but you know, I'm not looking to go anywhere, and that sentence basically stops anything else, because what you're saying is, my ambition is actually to do it here at Everton. 3 or 4 or 5 years down the line, if that hasn't happened and someone comes in, I'm doing well enough, we'll see.
Which is funny, because that's what Morales has basically said. Morales basically said, I want to play in the Champions League next season. There's still an opportunity to do it Everton if we win the Europa League. That's what he's basically said. I mean, it's a slim chance, but he sort of put that out there. Now, Romelu Lukaku hasn't said he wants to leave Everton. He's not said that at all. There's been comments from a Belgian journalist as well saying, well, he said this is the place he wants to be.
He tweeted us today, actually, Christoph.
He did. He said, this is the place he wants to be. He turned down the likes of Wolfsburg in the summer because he said Everton was the place for him to develop. Everton was the number one place he wanted to go in the summer. He could have gone to Juventus. He wanted to come to Everton. Now, and we all said when he signed, we're under no illusions. Let's get 3 years out of him. Hopefully he moves us up a level. We get more money than we paid for him, and everyone's happy in a way.
He scores 100 goals in the next 4 seasons.
Yeah, is anyone really going to be annoyed?
And then goes for 45 million, we'll all say, nice one.
Exactly, that's football.
But I think that, I think at the moment, but fans are upset with the way things have gone. Every comment can turn toxic.
Well, before we go to the tweets, let me just say one more thing about it, right? This was the first thing he said this week. There's been since he's given an interview with a Belgian football magazine. I think it's called Ball. I think it is. And in that as well, though. And again, this, funny enough, hasn't been transcribed by any of those newspapers. He basically said before he went to the World Cup, his dad was really, really ill. Yeah. So that basically wrecked his World Cup for him. He wasn't in the right frame of mind. He said his dad hasn't been able to come and watch him play for Everton this season, which again has upset him and means he's not in the right frame of mind. He's had injuries as well during the season which have ruined it, and also the death of his friend recently has also made it.
And Everton have been crap.
Well, there is that as well, but I'm not saying he's coming out with reasons, but what he's done is he said, listen, I didn't mention this at the time, but there has been other things. I do have a life where things can affect me. So, and
now he's just quoted Jay-Z.
He said, what? He's got 99 problems.
Put Martin as ain't one apparently. No, he has. He said something like, he lives every day, because you never know when you're gonna die and all this. Ron, cheer up, mate. Honestly, but. Look, the thing about it is we will realise his potential when we play to his potential.
Yeah, when he plays to his strengths.
His potential isn't as a lone striker.
It's not.
Bobby, I know you watched this because when I talked about tactical changes you've implemented in the last few weeks, so put him up there with someone, please, mate, because you're just ruining him. Well, the Christophe Terreur, I hope that's how you spell it, Christophe, tweeted us today. Okay. He's the Belgian journalist, to say that Rom is a man with a big desire. It was an ambitious quote rather than a "I want to leave now" quote. So,
I don't think anyone ever felt like he was saying "I want to leave." People just thought
have jumped on it.
People just thought, you cheeky bastard, basically.
Well, I've got a few tweets. I mean, we had about 3 million. Well, we haven't, but we've had quite a lot, and I can't read them all out. So I'll just quickly run through a few of them now. At Johnny H. Bauer says, just shows his ambition. For me. At J. Wilson 27, in the words of me mum, I'm not angry, just disappointed. Nothing but Buffo. He has come out and done a second interview stating how we are the right fit for him now, for which he has said several times, I'm fine with it. Well, that's kind of what you're saying. Royston, EFC1, not arsed, to be honest. No loyalty in football anymore, so why get upset? EFC Toffee 20, he's on big money and his ego knows it. As a player, he can't read a ball in the air or control it on the ground and misses sitters. Maybe a tad harsh. Moving on.
Top goal scorer this season, though.
Well, he's got 9, yeah. At Blue Bane, I think it's ambition. If we want to keep players and attract top players, we must be 2, not a stepping stone for a stepping stone club. That's another debate. At Ben Thompson, 1999, I'm upset. It's not the type of thing we need at the club. I love Rom, but what he said was wrong. We need unity. And at Daily Post, Gary, not upset, part and parcel of the game. Happens at most PL clubs from top to bottom, but he should do his talking on a pitch, and that carries on, to be honest with you, just the same kind of thing, where he shouldn't be saying it now. I'll just finish with Latty9, who says, if a player is head and shoulders above his teammates, then I understand it, but when he's bang average, it winds me up.
That's interesting, that, because people say he's lazy, and people say about Naismith and how much hard work he puts into the game, but the stats say that Lukaku runs more than Naismith and runs into channels more than Naismith, and football, as you don't see half the things that actually go on a football pitch. You don't see all the runs he makes. You don't see that all the time. For those 100 runs that he might make, only one of them might lead to a goal. So, you know, the stats are out there to prove that he does work hard. It's just that, unfortunately, we just mightn't play the way Lukaku needs to play. And you know what? The sad thing is, right, that if Lukaku was to leave us this season on the back, he's not going to. But if he would be, I guarantee whoever bought him would go, do you know what? He's our number one player and we are playing around him, and they would get a bag full of goals out of him. I think
you're right, it'd be a travesty really if not that he's gone to and it's not even on the table, but it would, imagine if he went and someone else used them properly. Someone used them in a 2 and went, you know what, he'll be bossing a 2 because he'll be able to run the other way. And that's why I think now's the time to put him up there with Kone, and you will see something nearer a £28 million striker, because at the moment it's like having, when Marcus Bent used to play for us, everyone lauded him because he ran to every corner. He got 5 goals, and then people called you Kubu lazy, who got 23. And I know which one I'd rather have.
You don't get many strikers who does loads of running around and also scores loads of goals. That's why you have 2 strikers. That's why there's always been 2 strikers. One generally does all the hard work and the other one puts the ball in the back of the net.
What I want to see him is, I've been critical of him when he's been over in the corners, because he's never going to score you a goal from the corner. I want him in the box, and if you've got 2 playing in tandem, they can be in the box. There's this, just wrap it up, but there's this nouveau rich type of football theory that you only play with one, or we have a false 9 and we have someone's dropping off. It's bollocks. Football, sorry about that, but it is. Football evolves all the time, but goals win your football matches, and it makes more sense to have 2 lads up there who can score 20 each than having 1 and trying to put 2 wingers who might get 5 and 6.
We've gone on for ages about a game, we've got beat 1-0, but there's loads to talk about. Listen, Thursday we've got Young Boys in the Europa League. It's back, it's the Europa League, we've got to win it. Champions League football. If we won that, people would go, what a boss season, what a boss season.
Forget everything else.
Everyone would stay, everyone would sign new contracts, so new mega 5 billion Premier League contracts. It would happen here.
Osman would get another 10 years, it'd be amazing.
Well, funny enough, looks like Osman's going to be back this week playing first game. Only 21 seconds, come on!
Better. Go on.
Right, Young Boys, some facts. Or have we moved on from facts and we're on to Big Sam long ball facts, right? I just notes.
Reel 'em
got
off.
notes.
Go.
Got notes. 20 games this season. Young Boys currently second in the Swiss Super League. They are 9 points behind Bâle. So they're doing quite well. They're up there. They're currently 9 games unbeaten. 8 wins, 1 draw. That's since November. Their last defeat was to Napoli.
Europa League though.
In the 6th of November, their last home defeat was the week before when they got beat 1-0 by Vaduz. I don't know if that's the way you say it.
Vaduz can do it.
They've only lost twice at home all season. One to the aforementioned Vaduz and to 1-0 to Bâle as well. There you go. They're unbeaten at home in the Europa League, including a 2-0 win over Napoli.
Yeah, but that's Napoli. This is Everton.
Yeah.
AstroTurf, we love football.
So yeah, and I was mentioning 5. They've been beaten 5 times. They do play on AstroTurf on Liga Turf RS Pro Cole Plus.
Oh, why not? We're good on that.
I've heard we're good on that, but the thing about it is that it's called that stupid name because basically when it's hot, it doesn't get hot, and when it's cold, it doesn't get cold.
Maybe we'll have it next year. We play it. Ours is 7%.
I played on AstroTurf not long ago in 90-minute, a proper game. And the thing about it is, doesn't really matter what level you play at. Obviously, I mean, it's not Luton Town kind of stuff, but the ball zips. Once it hits that rubber, it zips. So I think, obviously they're going to be used to that. They're going to know how to play it, how it affects, but it really does. When the ball catches it, it's almost like it's...
Didn't Young Boys beat Spurs about?
They did, but that was a different. I think that was a different kind of surface, and I think they went back to grass. And this is the first year they've gone back to this new synthetic stuff. So it is the top of the range stuff, and it is getting closer to grass. And I can understand why people use it. Financial reasons. Playing it week in, week out. All those other reasons. No chance of games getting called off. but it does zip. It really, when it catches. But you know what? That might help us. That might help us with the likes of Morales, Lukaku, Barkley. You know, it might help Lennon when it zips. But it is going to be hard. It is going to be hard to play against. Their player to watch is Gilliam Haru, is it?
Hooray.
Who has scored 11 goals in 19 appearances this season, including 2 against Grasshoppers in a 4-2 win on Saturday. Their next game is Bal on Sunday. And obviously, that'll be a title decider. I mean, I think they're 8 points behind anyway. So it's one of them. They lose, that's over. It's over. So it'll be interesting to see what team they pull out on Thursday, because, you know, how do they balance it? Because they'll probably be thinking, well, we're at home at Everton, so we've got to try and get a lead, because, you know, obviously they're not great away from home. I mean, don't get me wrong, they haven't been terrible, but if they're going to lose games, it's going to be away from home. So it's going to be interesting how they put a team up. But how do you think we're going to approach it? Because obviously we've got a big game against Leicester on Sunday as well, a must-win game, a game that you think if we were to win, that would take us away. Do you think he'll play pretty much the same team for both games?
I don't know, because it is a tough one. I might see a case where Gareth Barry plays on Thursday, and obviously he's not playing on the Sunday, so he might go for that. He might try and play a defensive type game and feel our way into it, because obviously we don't know much about them. He may choose the opposite and think, let's go at them and try and get a couple of goals, you know, away from home. I don't know, it's going to be a difficult one, because obviously the only trophy we can win, and it takes a lot to win it, get me wrong, but we're still in it. But obviously the league is about finishing as high as we can, you know, at the moment, which is quite sad. We went out the FA Cup, obviously the Carling Cup, so, you know, and it's Champions League football at the end of the day, and in some respects it might be easier to qualify for the Champions League winning this than actually finishing in the top 4.
It is going to be easier.
That's what I mean.
You can't finish.
No, I don't. I just mean in general, it's very difficult. So, I don't know. It's a tough one, isn't it? Because you know, these will be good at home, but I think if we can get a goal away, it sets it up nicely for the return.
I mean, let's be honest, right? I mean, the Swiss League, it's not terrible. I mean, Bâle approved this year in the Champions League. You know, they've been a good side. You know, so they're the top team. But everyone, you know, these are obviously below them and doing okay. So it's not the worst league in the world. And obviously the advantage of having this pitch at home, because even if it's not a terrible surface to play on, you know,
it's an alien surface.
They're used to it and we're not. We're going to get a couple of hours of training on it, and that's it. I mean, I know there's a pitch at Goodison that I'm sure they'll be using as well, a synthetic pitch that they'll have been using to get used to it. But it's still not competitive.
You want your ball, in these kind of games, you want your ball players playing, and you want to keep hold of the ball and make that do the way. It might suit the way Everton play, you never know. It might give us a bit of confidence. Shoot on sight and all that.
But again, I mean, I'd be happy with a draw, especially a goal.
Even a narrow defeat, as long as we score. Yeah. But yeah, definitely a draw. Yeah, I mean, delighted. But I think we need a goal. I don't want to come back here and we're on edge every time.
The good thing is, though, I mean, it's a chance for us to sort of look for something else, a distraction from what's been going on. We've had tough games recently. We're going to a period now where we really, really need to be winning games. So it's a good chance to get the ball moving, to change the formation, maybe thinking more of this Leicester game, thinking that we need to go out and win games and score goals. We're looking a lot more solid at the back, which is good. So hopefully, you know, we go into this game, get something, and that rolls us into Sunday against Leicester, which really, as you mentioned before, it's a must-win game. I mean, every game's a must-win game, but this is a game that I think if we beat Leicester, that gives us a little bit of breathing space. There's a tough game, you know, coming up against Arsenal, and but then there's more winnable games. But we've got to start winning games. I mean, one win since December isn't good enough, and we've got to start getting points on the board. Draws are all right, but you know, it's still only one win since, you know, the middle of December.
Leicester will be tough because they'll come here, and if they come here and defend like West Brom did, we know we're not great at breaking them down. But I think the key is the early goal, the first goal rather, because it brings them out. And if we can get that, I think we can go to town.
Yeah, they'll come here. They'll set up to not want to concede. They'll set up for a point. You know, very much like West Brom did. It's up to us to break them down. Let's hope that we've got more things going for us. Maybe, hopefully, we'll be a little bit more cavalier because we're a little bit more happy with the way we are at the back. McCarthy's back, Bessage is in there, good opportunity for Ross Barkley as well. Lennon's about as well. He can get around the back of teams a little bit better with his pace. So I think if we can get that early goal, which is something we didn't get against West Brom, then there's a big chance for us to, you know what, not just beat Leicester, but actually prove that we're a decent side by scoring a few goals. And the confidence that would come from that would be absolutely massive.
Definitely, not to disagree with there. I think you're right. If we can get it, beat them comfortably, that's where the wheels will start turning, and we'll start seeing wins, getting that confidence and that feeling back again of winning games. And like you say, once the Arsenal game's out the way, we've got a period of games then that I expect us to win at least half of them, and we'll do that by confidence. But it's a big week for us.
It is a really big week, and obviously with the second leg of the Young Boys game coming up the week after, you just want as much confidence as you can in these games. Definitely. Right, don't forget, make sure if you want to say anything about the show, you leave comments. Put comments, little thing down here, there's comments. Say what you like, good, bad, anything. Subscribe thing up there. Make sure you get in touch with us on Twitter. It's at Toffee TV 1. We want your reactions to the videos. We've been putting our podcast out as well. If you miss any of the videos or you can't watch the videos and you want to listen to the audio, please do. Steve, our marvellous new audio engineer, sitting over there.
Audio manager.
Audio subtweeting, editing manager, whichever, whatever, I don't know. He's got some kind of, thinks he's more important than he is. He's here now, and so we're sticking a podcast as well. If you want to give that a listen, if you can't catch the whole show, but we'd rather you watch the show, because otherwise it would just be pointless putting all this effort into it. He says, while there's a chair on a snooker table with an iPhone pointing at us.
Not really, but keep it going. Let's go.
It is really. Get in touch with us. Tell us anything you want to know, what you want to see, anything. Let us know. We're here every week if you want us to be here. From Baz and Ped, Toffee TV. We'll catch you next time.